So our program tonight, we have two very special guests from the New York State Builders Association. And by the way, they're not only officials of the New York State Builders Association, but they're also representatives of the industry with the National Association of Home Builders. I had the pleasure of being their guest to my first ever NHB trade show out in Las Vegas. It was my first time in Las Vegas, and I'm still recovering from the entire experience. But it is really a showcase for a powerhouse industry, and it is my pleasure to have the guests representing the New York State in building industry here with us tonight to talk about some interesting issues and some interesting developments which directly affect us all, and especially the BRI. So I would call Lou Dubuque, who's the Executive Vice President of the New York State Builders Association, to speak first. Please welcome Lou Dubuque.
Thank you very much. I'm Lou Dubuque, Executive Vice President of the New York State Builders Association. We are the voice of the residential construction industry in Albany. I want to thank Albert for inviting us here today. New York State Builders Association has 15 local home builders associations across the state, running from Long Island all the way out to Niagara Falls. We have one in the Hudson Valley, and we are planning on having one in Westchester County very soon, which we're very excited about. These are interesting times in Albany. If no one's paying attention, when the state senate flipped in January or in November to a Democratic majority for the first time in 10 years, we were presented with issues that we've never had to face before. For the longest time, we would have issues like wetland regulation, prevailing wage, fire sprinklers, mandates, and the state senate would be there as our backstop, would shut it down. That doesn't exist anymore. Now with the Democrats having a majority, an 8-member majority, we are now having to fight issues we've never had to fight before, and it's put New York State in a precarious situation. Right now, the biggest issue we are facing is prevailing wage. Basically, the state legislature has a law that they're trying to get through. If you take any state money, you're going to have to pay prevailing wage on your jobs. It is written so vaguely that that's going to go right into residential construction. So, needless to say, we are very alarmed by that. We could count on the Republicans last year to kill it, but now we're in a tough spot. So, instead of just sitting back and giving up, we've created a coalition with ourselves, the Business Council, the Associated General Contractors of New York State, and several other organizations, and we've created Don't Block Building New York, which is a major public campaign, social media. We've been getting tons of articles in the last 2 weeks, and just getting out how the changes in prevailing wage are going to destroy affordable housing in New York State. All I can tell you is we're not going to win the Assembly. The Assembly's going to pass the bill. They pass the bill every year. We've focused on 8 state senators, 6 in Long Island, 1 in the Hudson Valley, right across from you, Senator Skoufis, and Senator Tim Kennedy in Buffalo. And these are the people that we are focusing on. They are new, most of them newly elected. They're in districts that normally vote Republican, and so we're focusing on making sure that they understand how the changes to this law are going to destroy affordable housing in New York. And we have meetings next week with them, and then our lobby day on May 21st. So this is what we do at the New York State Builders Association. We're constantly fighting to protect the residential construction industry. So I just want to segue off into another story. I started as the Executive Vice President in 2011, and 2 months on the job, I had a meeting with Albert and Eric Abraham and BRI to discuss some issues. And during that meeting, when the meeting got over, Eric asked them to stop for a minute to talk, and they had said that Westchester had wanted to create their own residential construction, or their own home builders association. And I was gung-ho for it, but the territory was controlled by the organization, the home builders and remodelers of Hudson Valley across the area. They did not want to give it up. This went on for 6 years, and finally this fall, after a lot of work, they finally given the territory up, and Albert is currently working to create a home builders association with Westchester County, which will be run through BRI. So we are very excited about that. Westchester County has not been represented in the residential construction industry, at least on the state level, for a long time. This is now a seat of power. The Senate Majority Leader, we are standing right in her district right now. We have a lobby day every year. And for the last 4 years, we've had a reception where we invite the entire legislature. Every legislator, and surprisingly enough, they come. So for 2 hours every lobby day evening, I am running around when a legislator comes in and says, "Oh, you're from Buffalo? Okay, here's our members from Buffalo. You're from Niagara Falls? Here's our members from Niagara Falls, Rochester, and so forth." We've had Senator Cousins come, and we've had assembly members from the Hudson Valley come, and we have no one to introduce them to. So that's going to change this year. So May 21st is our lobby day. We're working with Albert now. I don't know if everything will be in place by then, but we would love if everyone here could come to Albany and lobby on prevailing wage, condo equalization rates, issues that are important to everyone in this room, and we join our forces and have our voice heard in Albany. So with that, I will give you our current president, Kristin Savard. Thank you.
Okay, so wow. First thing, I'm glad we have something to hold the mic because I'm Italian and my hands are always going, and if I have to hold it, it's a bad scene. But thank you for having us here tonight. My name is Kristin Savard. I am a member of the Niagara Regional Construction Alliance, which is one of the 15 locals of the New York State Builders Association. I've been a member of NRCA for, I'm going to say, probably 13 years. And I first of all want to compliment you on the reception that you've put on and the variety of members that you have, the diversity, and it's a clear example of how diverse and important this industry is, that it's not just builders. You can, if you were to look around the room and the people that I've met tonight and the people that are new members that are prospective members, it is a clear example of it's not just an association, it's an industry. And the other thing that's super important to realize here is that New York State is becoming more and more a place where you need to be represented on the state level. So what Lou was talking about tonight is critically important for it to really sink into everybody, is that there are issues that are being brought to Albany that not only affect you, but affect the entire state. And we're in a position politically where the message needs to be statewide. We've lost a lot of the control in Albany. Hopefully we get it back at some point to the Democrats. And November was an eye-opener, and we had to quickly regroup, and that's what our group does. So I don't build homes, but I am an engineer. I own an engineering company. We do engineering surveying and site development. And I tell everybody, our feet are on the ground before you guys can build it, before you can remodel it, before you can finance it. And the stuff that we hear it long before, hopefully you hear it. So through the Builders Association, we get the tricklings and the rumors and we hear things and we are on it. And ideally, you never even know that it's going on because we take care of it. And as a business owner, I have minimal time. I have 3 sons at home that are young. I have minimal time. I don't have the money to just spend everywhere. And I can't stress how important it is now more than ever with the current political climate to make sure that you're aware of what's going on in our industry at the state, that you're well represented in Albany, and to make sure that you have your focus on your business so you can be successful and you've got the right team in your back pocket looking out for you. And please leave tonight with the message that you are well represented by BRI. And I'll be honest, before I became president, I was involved with the meeting in the fall. Before I went to that meeting, I took a step back. I looked into Albert. No offense. But I did. I looked into things. I looked into your association. I looked into what you do. You have so much to be proud of. So much. And what we're here tonight to talk to you about is what we can do in Albany to allow you to continue to do what you've already been doing and to continue to be really good at what you're doing and allow our industry to grow. So, with that, we're here tonight to answer any questions. As I said, I'm the president, and I will pass my card out to anybody. My cell phone is always on. Lou is the guy with his feet on the ground in Albany. NYSBA has an attorney, Bill Kroll, who is right there for us, and he's very, very informed, very, very in the door with people in Albany. And then we have Vicki in our office, who she really kind of does all the running and makes all the details happen. Please think about taking advantage of it, because we can't have a voice in Albany without people behind us, without knowing what the issues are, and without having the connections in all the different regions around the state. So now more than ever, we need to stay together as a state and hit Albany hard. And so we encourage you to reach out tonight, reach out tomorrow, reach out next week. Questions, comments, ideas, thoughts, we want it all, because we're here to represent our industry. So thank you so much, and I plan to spend the next 3 days in New York City with my mom and my son, and I'm very excited, so I'll take suggestions on that too. So, thank you very much.
We usually have a Q&A session, so if anyone has any questions for Lou or Kristin. Yes, sir. Just when you get up, identify yourself, your company, and your question.
Yeah, I'm Rob Sykes. I'm with T-Squared Properties. I'm an associate broker. And maybe I'm the only one in the room that doesn't know this. But what exactly is meant by prevailing wages?
There is a set. Oh, sorry. There is a set pay scale by the state, by your classification. If you're a bricklayer, whatever position there's a set rate that the state sets based on negotiations with the labor unions, which usually ends up being 25 to 35% higher than what is paid in the general public.
So a real life example of that, and if anybody is familiar with it and I misspeak, please correct me. We do engineering and surveying and some construction management, and I do a lot of government work. I'm a WBE, so I work across the state. And so there's 14 people in my company. If I go on a job that is prevailing wage, my guys may make anywhere from 25 to 35 an hour to do inspection and things of that nature. If I'm going on a prevailing wage job, which is any job that has any government funding and a prevailing wage requirement, what that means is that anyone who's on that job doing labor, so my surveyors, I have 3 survey crews. If we're doing 3D laser scanning, if we're doing just regular survey work, if I have guys that are installing meters, anyone doing any labor work, they're obligated to be paid, or I'm obligated to pay them at a rate that is equal to what the state has defined for that position, and that is pretty much more or less based on the union rates. So my guy who might make $29 on every other job I do, he's suddenly making $65 an hour. And that's with benefits. So what I have to do is I have to take, what am I paying him, what are the value of his benefits, and then I have to fill the gap. Okay, so it's a very prescribed process, which first of all is extremely complicated if you're a small company that's not used to it. I was fortunate enough to have some of our primes come in and train us. If I had had that luxury, it would have been a catastrophe. So once we do that, especially for me, because I'm 4 people down on the contractor chain, right? So you have your prime, and then somebody is a sub, and then somebody is a sub, and then they bring in the WBE. So I'm 4 paychecks out. So what that means for me as a small business is I carry payroll anywhere from 6 to 9 months. My business plan changed from having 0 debt to I now have to carry $1 million line of credit so I can cover payroll until I get paid. So what Lou was speaking of, which is the prevailing wage, what's the official word, the official name of what they're trying to pass, the prevailing wage?
The Beacon Act, something.
Yeah, there's, okay, that's right. But there's, so what it means is they're trying to pass and it's gonna pass the assembly and, right, that's it. It expands the definition of prevailing wage, which means that any job that has any sort of financial incentive, and I'm breaking this down as simple as I can, any job that has any financial incentive, whether you're developing on a lot within an IDA park that was approved 20 years ago, if you're developing with tax credits, if you're affordable housing, anything that has any sort of government incentive, which in Western New York, if it doesn't have government incentive, it doesn't happen. I mean, that's just the way it is. So anything that has any sort of government incentive will automatically become prevailing wage. So that is crazy for people like me. And what we're trying to do, and we've been very successful doing it, is this train's moving really fast. And a lot of times, a train gets going in Albany and nobody's thinking it through until the impacts happen. We're trying to slow the train down so we have the opportunity to go through the doors that have been open for us and educate the people that are making the decisions. Look, this seems really good now, but you need to understand what's going to happen. Because me, as a small business and that does business across the state, I won't be doing those jobs anymore. So now all of my primes who are bidding on RFQs, they're not getting the work because they have no WBEs to meet the requirement. Same thing with the minority businesses. Same thing that has any government incentive. You go to the next level, we do solar projects all across the state. And solar is a very fine profit margin to begin with. So if you start doing solar, which has all kinds of incentives through NYSBA, all kinds of things. You've got a governor, and you've got Albany saying Western New York, and all New York State is open for business, and we need renewable energy. Someone needs to stop the train and educate them that what you're trying to put through is not consistent with your mission. But until that train slows down, there's not the opportunity to do that. That is what we're doing, and it's crazy fast the way we're trying to jump on this. You know, he started emails last week, and I would have thought the building was blowing up because of how strong and how urgent it was. And it is. Everybody needs to be informed. Everybody needs to go speak to their local people and get the word out. And I always say I like to equate it to like a boxing match. And I was talking to some of your board members earlier. One strong punch doesn't work anymore. In New York State, it's all the little punches. You've got to beat down the issues from every angle. And so that's what New York State Builders does, is we are represented across the state. We're hitting all of our representatives, whether it's Senate or legislative, and also the people, I don't hold a political position, but I know a ton of people. And I just pick up the phone and I call, and that's how you make stuff happen. And we slow this train down, get the word out. We also provide them a way to get out of it and not have egg on their face. Because that's the thing. You may educate them and get them to see that they're on the wrong path. You gotta give them a way out. You gotta spoon feed them. How do you get out of this and not look like you were on the wrong path in the first place? It's all what we do. It's just, it's an amazing thing. So hopefully that answers your...
An excellent answer. I just said the second part to the question. Besides, I would assume it's the obvious, but maybe not. So let's say your surveyor now makes close to $70 an hour instead of $30 an hour. Mm-hmm. So he or she is going to benefit, but if you're losing jobs, they're not going to get the work.
So, and that's the thing about...
Who's going to benefit from just the mega engineering firm?
It's so funny, I'm so glad you see that, because that is exactly what we say, is that the people who really understand how this will affect things, they also understand that it's a 10-year impact, and that's a big number. It's just a rough number. It might be a 7-year or a 12-year impact. But the reality is the impact if this goes through, the impact initially is catastrophic. However, in the long run, everything's going to settle out, and it's just going to be the cost of doing business is higher, and business is going to change. But who's going to survive that turnaround? that the next 5 years is crazy. It's going to be catastrophic for the new companies, the 3-generation companies that are just trying to survive. It is another challenge that New York does not need. It's just not necessary. So in the long run, you're talking 10, 15 years maybe, everything will balance out. Business will be, go back to normal. It'll be more expensive, and then there'll be another thing that'll make us less competitive with the country and less competitive abroad.
It sounds like Brexit.
We have any other questions? John?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I'm in the flooring business, so if this prevailing wage does go through or whatever, it's going to really put a stop to construction. So if everybody sees, I have friends that do stuff in unions versus non-union, and anybody in the union is like to do construction is like $5 million to put up the structure or the carpentry and stuff like that, versus non-union might be, he might be 15 million as a union, 10 million as non-union, so he's losing out jobs. If this prevailing wage goes through, all the construction will stop, because all these builders are going to say, well, maybe I figured $50 million to build a building, now it's going to cost me $80 million to build a building. I'm not going to do it. And then the low-income areas that they're trying to revive will suffer even more.
There's the issue right there.
Is that they don't realize that.
Is you see in Yonkers, White Plains, on Long Island, the legislatures or the local city council or town councils are screaming on the one hand, we need affordable housing. But on the other hand, they're saying we need prevailing wage. You can't have both. You can't have both. So that's the message we're trying to get through.
Any other questions? Yes.
Yeah. Is there any talk on the other side of increasing the incentives to kind of balance this out maybe in the short term to lessen the impact if it were to go through?
No, they're happy with the incentives you're giving out right now. That you should be able to do these incentives. Yeah.
Lou, there are other issues as well. Lou mentioned that once again this year, the co-op reassessment bill has been introduced by Sandy Galiff, and this is something that we fight in Albany every year. But of course now, with the Assembly solidly behind initiatives like that, it's going to be a tougher fight. And then of course with the Senate too, they have compadres in the Senate that would probably be supportive of this. So the co-op sector is being threatened on the whole property tax assessment issue. And as Kristin said, we had the pleasure of a small group of our trustees meeting with Lou and Kristin prior to this meeting, and the renewal of the rent laws in June is another big issue facing us. That's the whole reason behind the March 19th, next Tuesday's meeting of the AOAC of all the Westchester landlords. So the diversity of issues matches the diversity of members and what we can bring. And I think, Kristin, I'm gonna, maybe you should copyright this before I use it. But I heard Kristin say something that really struck me, and I repeated it to Jeff. It's not just, we're not just an association, we are an industry, and a powerhouse industry. The industry that brings the state and the country back from recession, the first industry to do so, and the last industry to be dragged kicking and screaming when we slip into recession. So it really is an American bellwether of the strength of the economy. So if there are no further questions, thank you so much again for coming down and sharing the news with us. And we'll be getting the news out of the formation of this new chapter and how to join and benefit from both the state and national incentive programs and the like. And on behalf of, as luck would have it, our president, Vinnie Mutarelli, and chairman, Carmelo Emilio, are not here tonight. Carmelo was here before, but had to leave. So on behalf of everyone else here, all our trustees and directors, thank you again. Safe home, and see you next month. Thank you very much.